It's still flying.
There they are, all over the factory. It's terrifying at the plant.
When I'm working, tomorrow I'll have to go around looking for places again.
Emergency. Let's go quickly. All of Russia has exploded.
See? It's flying.
A strike of vengeance from the AFU. Drones powerfully hit Moscow.
It tore everything up, just wrecked everything, the whole entrance.
Drones hit all regions of Russia at once. Major targets destroyed, airfields, factories, and even the Russian president's plane. Z channels are screaming, Moscow has been blown up. Putin shouted when he learned about the consequences. All this and more coming up. Watch until the end. Hello everyone, this is Ukraine Today. I'm Renata Aslanova, and here are the latest events. Russia is in a panic. Powerful explosions rocked the Tula region with at least 5 detonations. Fiery flashes and thunderous booms lit up the sky. Russian air defense can no longer cope with the massive drone assault. Aviation is paralyzed. One after another, a carpet regime is being imposed across Russia. Kaluga, Saratov, Nizhny Novgorod, and Tambov are blocked. Flights have been cancelled. Bryansk and Vladimir regions are also under attack. Smoke, explosions, and videos of the strikes have already flooded social media. A targeted strike on Russia's defense industry. In the Vladimir region, the strategic Murom plant was attacked. It is there that ignition systems for munitions and components for Russian aviation and the Navy are produced. Drone attacks on Russia are reaching record levels. For almost a week without interruption, Russians have been hearing nothing but the sounds of incoming strikes.
Another one is coming. There they go. Hitting the plant. Hitting the plant.
How are we supposed to work tomorrow?
Even Putin himself came under attack from a Ukrainian Armed Forces drone. Russian air defense nearly incinerated Putin's helicopter in the Kursk region.
The intensity of the attack increased significantly during the flight of the Supreme Commander-in-Chief's aircraft over the territory of the Kursk region. That's why we were simultaneously engaged in an air defense battle and ensured the safety of the President's helicopter in the air.
And now let's go over the strikes on enemy territory.
Look at that smoke!
Unknown drones delivered a powerful strike on the plant in Yelabuga, where Shaheds are assembled. An epic moment. Now, obviously, only paper airplanes will be launched at the Ukrainians. In Tula, locals reported at least 10 explosions and a hit in the industrial zone. The Russians counted as many as 14 explosions. After that, darkness engulfed the Tula region. The lights went out everywhere.
Several cities in the Tula region are reporting large-scale power outages. The lights went out at around 23:10. At least 7 streets were affected by the outages.
Russians are also complaining that Ukraine struck the Nikolsky Cathedral in a settlement in the Tula region with a drone. The dome burned down, but the cross survived.
May 25th, Tula region, the settlement of Epiphan. The cathedral is on fire. After the explosion occurred, the object was subsequently hit, specifically targeted and ultimately destroyed by a remotely operated strike drone, which caused significant and extensive damage.
In the Ivanovo region, drones visited a chemical plant that produces components for Russian equipment and missiles.
The factory?
It went into the forest! Ah!
No way! That was a direct hit.
At least 2 drones hit the Dimitrov chemical plant. One of the warehouse buildings was destroyed. According to the company's website, it is a major Russian manufacturer of a wide range of chemical products for various industries and the national economy. Unknown drones also did not spare the Moscow region. Strikes happening live on air.
Whoa! I got it on camera!
Despite all the complaining, Russians are not losing their optimism and are even happy to have the chance to study the remains of the drones.
So basically a drone flew over to us. They blew it up over there, basically neutralized it. Now we're carrying it away, right? There it is. There are some wires here. Here are all the fragments. 773-05. Soon it'll be number 1 out here.
The day before, The day before, a real fireworks show of explosions and gunfire was seen in Tver and the surrounding region. Attack drones targeted the Migalovo airfield, where Russian military transport aviation is based. The attacked airfield is located near the city of Tver, where the 196th and 8th Military Transport Aviation Regiments of the Russian Aerospace Forces are stationed. And that's not all. One of the drones hit the Kolosagro grain elevator. It was engulfed in flames. Also, one of the UAVs fell on the grounds of the local medical college. Debris from another one hit a residential building. To use the local slang, it was completely wrecked.
Everyone, get out faster! There it is!
Well,
It's been wrecked! Just completely, absolutely, and utterly wrecked! The whole entrance! Don't go there!
The Russians definitely weren't prepared for this. Now, instead of a peaceful life, there are alarms and dashes to the shelters. Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism, and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now. Strikes on the Russian defense industry are the lightning-fast work of Ukrainian defenders. It's also a clear signal that the war is approaching the enemy's territory. This undermines Russia's security, destabilizes the rear, disrupts logistics, and shows that there are no unreachable targets. Meanwhile, unknown drones have hit a strategic region of Russia. The sky lit up there. Less than an hour later, Governor Artamonov was already reporting that the situation was under control, but later admitted that a massive fire had engulfed the region.
Holy to the cellar! Let's go, quick!
The Russian authorities are in a panic. There are explosions in the city, evacuations, and internet outages. Artamonov threatened to cut off mobile communications for security reasons. Officially, they're keeping quiet about what exactly caught fire, but the locals have already leaked everything.
Not very cool. We don't like it.
We really don't like it.
Well, now we'll be working for $4 million. We've spent the whole week in the basement. Every morning, every night, they just wake us up and throw us into the basement.
At least 10 extremely powerful explosions and a direct hit on the Energia plant.
143. It's quiet at the element section.
There were explosions.
Although, look, there's some kind of smoke rising. From workshop 6.
Leakage of hazardous substances. Artamonov is denying everything. After the night of hell, the governor got in touch again. He says there's no leak, but as many as 8 people were injured. And debris flew straight into a residential building.
Smoke is pouring out of workshop 6.
Stop it, stop it.
A strike at the heart of the defense industry, the destruction of the Energia plant, has been confirmed. The enterprise that supplied the Russian army with batteries and accumulators for aviation and the Navy has ceased operations. The loss is devastating, production is paralyzed. Maximum output. The facility that powered Russian missiles and drones has been destroyed. The Energia plant produced everything, from AA batteries to power sources for missiles. And now, there's only ashes and explosions. Last year, they almost doubled their production volume. Today, all of that has been destroyed. No way, Megasmart.
Did you get here a while ago?
Yeah, about 15 or 20 minutes ago.
Damn, someone just sent us a video in the group, so...
And we were on our way. The air defense was working.
It wasn't working.
It was working.
I was at the gas station once.
I was at the gas station, and the air defense just went off.
It was flying, then a spark, and that was it.
The capital of the Russian Federation took a serious hit as well. Moscow is paralyzed.
Holy I got it on video.
A massive drone attack shut down the airports. Flights are being cancelled one after another. People are panicking, spending the night right in the terminals, unable to leave the country.
They finally allowed us to enter through the doors, and one by one, every single person in our group was carefully escorted and gathered together inside the large, echoing hangar. We waited there in silence, uncertain and anxious, until exactly 3 minutes later.
Hell at Russian airports? Hundreds of passengers are stranded at Vnukovo, Sheremetyevo, and Domodedovo. Flights were being cancelled en masse. With children in their arms and sleepless, people are begging for help.
No hotel, nothing.
Elderly people, children.
And now take a look at how, days earlier, drones attacked the Oriol region.
Just not towards us, please.
Quiet.
There it is flying.
Those aren't ours.
Ours. There's going to be an explosion somewhere now.
Look, I think it's heading for the factory.
That's already like the 8th one.
That's it.
Another important defense plant of Putin's has come under attack by unidentified drones. That's the range of the strike.
Oriol region, Bolkov.
After a nighttime visit from the good drones, the Bolkov Semiconductor Devices plant, JSC BZPP, is on fire.
Oh, wow. Something's happening there.
Is it hitting the factory or what?
The factory. The sound of a factory or a greenhouse is beating.
This plant is under sanctions, but it still imports Western technologies through third countries and parallel imports. It produced electronics for communication systems, electronic warfare control, and missile complexes. Now, however, Russians are complaining that the fire has burned down almost the entire production, and they're letting their emotions show.
This is...
Here it is. Well, there you have it, right?
It's a complete disaster. To put it in literary terms, not only in the Oriol region, but also in a number of other regions of the Russian Federation. Russians haven't slept since last night. Public pages were reporting on barrages of explosions.
The Ukrainian Armed Forces are attacking the Tula region with drones. At 23:20, local residents reported 6 loud explosions in Alexin. After that, there was a massive disruption of cellular service and the internet.
Things were also tense in the Ryazan region of Russia.
The shockwave made the window panes rattle and set off car alarms.
Moreover, in a number of regions, they even had to impose restrictions on the takeoff and landing of passenger planes.
The cover plan was implemented at Kaluga airports, Grabsevo, Kubinka, Yermolino, and others located within a 100-kilometer radius of the city.
A shock for Russia. Ukraine has launched its own Shahed, but even more powerful. The newest kamikaze drone from Ukrainian engineers is already preparing to take to the skies. This is a real monster, capable of destroying the enemy with unprecedented precision. What makes it so frightening for Russian air defense? Details that will astonish everyone are coming up in the report.
The Ukrainian Shahed is no longer a fantasy or a demand from the public to Ukrainian developers. Now it is a reality called the Batyar UAV. Engineers say that just 6 months ago it existed only on paper. Today, it is already a fully developed drone that has passed testing and is ready for mass production.
Ukraine now holds a leading position in drone production worldwide. No other country in the world produces more drones than Ukraine. We produce more than China, and we manufacture using localized Ukrainian components.
It is known that the Batyar drone has a range of 800 kilometers. By the way, that's farther than the distance, for example, to Krasnodar, Voronezh, Volgograd, or Saratov. And of course, it easily covers the distance to Moscow. Originally, the drone was conceived as a strike kamikaze UAV for long-range attacks. However, during development, the Ukrainian Shahed was made universal.
We can use the same drone as a decoy, a bomber, or as a frontline kamikaze drone. It all depends on the payload we put on it and the software we use.
It's almost impossible not to notice that the drone itself is visually and technically similar to the Shahed, and the designers don't hide the fact that they used the Iranian development as a basis. However, the components were replaced with Ukrainian and Western ones.
If we're talking specifically about this drone, yes, it's smaller, but it looks very similar to the Iranian Shahed because of the wing geometry and certain design features. In Russia, they just stick a label on it. And when we talk about its future use, in principle, this drone can effectively hit targets located at such a distance.
Among the known characteristics is also the drone's warhead. Here, however, it is significantly inferior to the original Shaheds modified by the Russians. 18 kilograms versus 50, and in some cases, even 90 kilograms. However, experts say that Ukraine developed this weapon not against civilians, but against military targets, and for such purposes, this warhead is more than sufficient.
Not a single Shahed has reached a military target during the entire full-scale war. It is always a weapon of terror, specifically intended to disrupt our lives. Accordingly, when we develop any equipment, we immediately state that Ukrainian engineers are designing it to target the enemy's military infrastructure.
One of the main tasks the developers recall was to create a lightweight drone. By the way, the Batyar ended up weighing only 60 kilograms. It was also important that the UAV could be launched from a catapult or a vehicle to eliminate the need for bulky launch systems. This was also successfully implemented. However, the developers consider its guidance system to be its standout feature. It is claimed that, when diving steeply toward a target, the drone can maintain its course and strike precisely at the designated coordinates, even if it has been hit. At the same time, it is known that the Batyar is far from the only Ukrainian counterpart to the Shahed. Naturally, not all developments are revealed to the general public. However, the number of drones of this type in the Ukrainian Armed Forces will soon increase significantly.
Currently, about 5 to 10 different manufacturers have presented their drones, which, in terms of their specifications, are either close to or at least comparable with the Shahed drones, both in terms of flight range and the types of munitions they can carry.
As for those critics who complain about the smaller warhead of the Batyar compared to the Russian Shaheds, it's important to understand that Ukraine is not following Russia's example by focusing solely on upgrading a single type of drone. For different tasks, the defense forces use different types of drones, including ones with much larger warheads, and importantly, these are also produced in Ukraine.
As of today, when it comes to Ukrainian drones, the range of models has now surpassed 100 units.
And the principle followed by our engineers to make things simpler but in greater numbers allows us to produce domestic drones not just by the thousands, but by the hundreds of thousands each month. The same fate awaits the Batyar UAV.
That's all from me for now. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next strike against the occupiers. See you next time.